Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to make this weekly sandwich bread recipe, and what I love about this recipe is you make it once a week, slice it and freeze it. You have fresh baked bread all week that isn't stale, because as you know, if you've made bread before, the bread goes stale a lot quicker because you haven't got the preservatives that the supermarkets put in. This way you can make it once, or you could buy 2 tins, make 2 weeks worth of bread, freeze it, and your family has the fresh bread. I guarantee you won't want to go back to the store and buy it. So as always, the recipe ingredients are on the blog, and I will show you how I made it and how easy it is. As you can see, I have just made the yeast mixture, and now I'm making the dry ingredients. What I love about making bread is that you are taking out so many unknown preservatives in your food. Bread is often something that people eat 5 times a week while they go to work. It's such a convenient staple in the kitchen, especially when you are busy, you have children, or you make your lunches for yourself or your partner. So for me, when I make a batch of bread and I know I have sliced bread in the freezer, it is such a lovely feeling. What I love about this recipe is it works great in a stand mixer. So if you are a baker or you're just getting into baking, I would recommend picking up a cheap stand mixer on Facebook Marketplace, or asking your friends if they have any in the cupboard that they don't use that you could purchase. There are some lovely stand mixers out there, but they are very expensive, so don't feel like you have to go and get one of them just to fit in. The stand mixer I have was a gift from my fiance. It was about 5 years old now. I absolutely love it. It's never gone wrong, and it's so perfect for bread, because you can make this bread by hand, absolutely, but it does take a bit more time and a bit more effort. If you're looking for a recipe that you're going to make weekly or every 2 weeks, popping it in the stand mixer, leaving it to rise, and then baking is the way to go, I guarantee it. So we've added our dry ingredients and our 2 eggs to the stand mixer. And then whilst I've been doing that, my yeast mixture here has been fermenting. So don't skip that step, because the amount of times the yeast is dead, you bake bread and it doesn't rise. So I guarantee, as long as your yeast bubbles up in your mixture, you will love this recipe. So sometimes my bread can be a bit sticky. It was very hot in my kitchen today. All I do is just add spoonful by spoonful of flour until I get that uniform dough that I'm looking for. When the dough is just about ready, I spritz my glass bowl with some olive oil. I bought this spray where I can add whatever liquid I want. I've put olive oil in there and it is so handy. So I recommend, if you are able to pick one up, that is a great tool for bread making. Once you take your dough out of the bowl, I would wet your hands just slightly. It will help add the smooth texture on the dough, allowing it to rise evenly. Now you leave this dough to rise until doubled. On a hot day like it was today, it only took about 30 minutes, which is incredibly quick for such a large amount of dough. It is honestly such a good recipe because it's so quick. You can make it in an afternoon and you'll be done. Leave the dough to rise with some cling film over it. I just tightly wrap the cling film. You can use a kitchen towel or a cover. Just ensure that whatever is going to be on the top won't be too sticky if the bread rises that high. Here you can see it's just about ready, so I will get my bread tin ready and we will put it in for its second proof. Spritz your bread pan with olive oil. As you can see, this spray is coming in handy again. So I completely recommend getting one of these. Now, one of my best tips when making bread is to wet your surface with a clean sponge. That will mean that the bread doesn't stick too much and you don't put flour all on your dough. The problem with using flour sometimes is when you roll a dough like this, you can have flour pockets because you're not fully incorporating them. If you wet the surface and you use a bench scraper, you will eliminate that issue. Just flatten your dough out into a uniformed rectangle shape. I always make sure that it's long enough for the bread pan, and then as you can see, I just use my bench scraper to roll it up as you do with some cakes. Leave your bread to rise again until it goes to about 1 inch from the top. When it is ready, you will preheat your oven and bake for 45 minutes. Some recipes call to remove the lid 10 minutes before the baking ends. That isn't something I do, and you will see I get a nice uniformed baked bread and you don't need to go through that extra step. With some editing magic, you close the oven door and open it back up and you have some baked bread. And here you will see it is absolutely gorgeous, a lovely golden colour, and it's going to feed a family for a week. Because we used olive oil, that bread is just going to slide right out, so easy and so quick. I really hope that you try this recipe, because once you invest in this bread pan, you won't need to keep making bread and you won't have stale bread. The benefits online for making your own bread is incredible. To eliminate any harsh chemicals or preservatives can eliminate regular headaches or migraines. That is something that we experienced ourselves, that as soon as we started to make homemade bread regularly, those preservatives were not in our body. I really appreciate everyone being here on this video. It has been such an encouraging way to share my recipes and love I have in my kitchen. As you can see, I'm just going to make a tuna and tomato sandwich, nothing too interesting, but it's that lovely soft bread that you get every day. I will then split up the bread and freeze it. The slices do not stick together, so you can put them in bulk batches. I usually put about 4 to 6 in each one, so then you know you have 2 to 3 sandwiches. I hope that you enjoy this recipe. Please let me know if you try it, and I again will link the pandemi tin in my recipe, and I will try and locate the olive oil spritzer. Thank you again.